All right, so we are almost done with our ecology unit. Just to recap where we've been, we looked at ecology, the levels of organization of life in ecology, an animal's role, which was its niche in ecology, and then where did it fit? Was it an autotroph? Was it a heterotroph? And then what type? Was it a herbivore, omnivore, carnivore? And then we took that information, what's going on there, and we kind of broke it down into looking at animals as a whole in their ecosystem. So how do they grow as an ecosystem? That population, what factors do we need for exponential growth or logistic growth? What does carrying capacity mean? What is an animal's density in an ecosystem? And then we looked at how populations within an ecosystem can decline. Density independent versus density dependent factors. So now we're going to break it back down and the individual animals interacting between each other. So not the whole population, but individual animals within an ecosystem. How do they either survive and thrive or maybe not do so well and be affected by other animals that negatively impact their populations? So any relationship between two species is called symbiosis. You may hear me use the word symbiotic relationship. That's just one of the three that I'll be referring to today. And this might be a review for you, which is going to be awesome. If you've already looked at these before, it'll be a nice little recap. So any two animals working together is a symbiotic relationship, or just the general term is symbiosis. The first type is mutualism. In mutualism, both of the species get some sort of advantage or benefit. So the bee here is going to get pollen for food, which is going to make him happy. And the plants are going to get their pollen because he's not going to have all of it. Some of it's going to fall while he's going back to his nest. Going to have its pollen fall, and that allows more of that species of plant to thrive. So it is a way for plants to have their specific species continue to be diversified and spread out throughout that ecosystem, which is, for plants, a way for them to continue to survive and thrive since they're stationary organisms. So mutualism, think, it's a mutual agreement. We both want to do this. It's mutual. So that means they both benefit. The second type is commensalism. This is the one that students tend to forget because it's a weird word. I don't have any real trick to help you remember this. I kind of will do the common as a word that I pull out of it, and I'll talk about that in a second. So in this situation, one species is going to benefit. In this case, it is the bird, and the other species isn't affected at all. They're not harmed, and they're not helped. So it's common in that only one species gets something out of it. In this situation, it doesn't seem really awesome because you're looking at this picture thinking, how is this commensalism? The bird is getting a higher vantage point to be able to get the bugs, to be able to see the bugs in the grass that he can eat. Because if he were to have to constantly fly, he'd be wasting energy. He's smart enough to realize he can take advantage of larger animals, just kind of hang out on there and scour and look around for insects for him to feed on. And again, this ox here could care less. Not a cattle. I think it's actually a cattle. That's a cattle egret. I should use the real terms, not an ox. Cattle and cattle egret relationship there. Oh man, this is the one that everyone remembers. Parasitism. In a parasitic relationship, one organism is going to literally be on or inside of its host, and it's going to harm it. It's going to benefit, which it doesn't say in here, but it's going to benefit, and the other one is going to be absolutely harmed. So this is a type of parasite here. It's almost like a mite, if I remember right. And then here's one that we are even affected by, and that's tapeworm. So parasitic one is benefiting because it's living on or inside of that host, and the other one is being harmed. Crazy thing about parasitism is that parasite doesn't want to kill the animal, because if it kills the animal, it's got to go find another host. So it wants to live off of it, but not to the point where it dies, because then that parasite, depending on its lifespan without a host, might only have 24 hours before it can find another one, or it itself will die. So those are the 3 types of symbiotic relationships. So go ahead and try your hand at some of the practice problems before submitting this form.